Let's look at an example that involves a two-way table in probability, but the use of this two-way table is different to, for example, summing two dice. Okay, so if you remember, there was one of the examples that we did previously where we rolled two dice and we added the two together, and it was in a table with 36 different outcomes, or 36 cells in the table. This particular two-way table, or at least the use of this type of two-way table, is to hold survey data or the results of a survey. So let's have a look at how this can be used in probability. Okay, so let's have a look at this particular situation. Some households were surveyed if they have installed solar electricity panels, a rainwater tank, or both. The results are summarized in the following table. Okay, so you can see that we have two rows and really two columns. So the rows indicate the number of households that have either have a water tank or no water tank, and the columns indicate whether they have solar panels installed or no solar panels installed. So we really account for all the different possibilities here. Either we have a household that has both a water tank and solar panels. We can have households that have a tank and no solar panel. We can have a household that have no water tank but have a solar panel installed. Or we have households that have neither. Okay? So, first question, how many households were surveyed? Okay. Now, I guess before we do that, we could just add up all the numbers, but I guess a habit that I've gotten into, every time I have a two-way table and there's no totals for the columns and the rows, I add them up and I do them myself. So let's add up the columns first. So how many households had solar panels? Okay, so 120 plus 85. Might just move the board over just a touch. Okay, so 120 plus 85, we get 205. So I'm just going to write them here under the table there. Okay. Now, if this is an exam question, you do not do this in pen. If you're going to do any kind of writing on your exam paper, please pencil and pencil only. Use pen, you could potentially damage a diagram. You're not going to use whiteout or anything to erase that. You end up damaging the exam paper. So just in light pencil, okay? Unless you are asked to actually fill it out as part of the exam question. So 44 plus 58 is 102. Now if you add up across, 120 plus 44 is 164. And again, the next row across, 85 plus 58, you get 143. So I'll just squeeze that in there. Now if you add up the last row and the last column, it should add up to the same amount. So 205 plus 102 is 307. And 164 plus 143 is also 307. Okay, so how many households were surveyed? 307. Now, why would I do that? You'll see later on. How many households had solar panels but no tank? Okay, so solar panels, so that's the first column. Okay, so there's 205 households that had solar panels, but we're only interested in the ones that had no tank. So that's going to be 85. So this question here, probably worth 1 mark. It's just read it off the table. Part C, find the probability of selecting a household that has a water tank installed. Okay, so probability of water tank, okay. Total number of households, out of 307 households, how many had a water tank installed? So water tank installed, we had 164 households have a water tank. It's got nothing to do with solar panels, this question, part C. It's only to do with water tanks. So we actually ignore the columns, we're only interested in the row. So that's going to be 164 divided over 307. If we want to convert that into a percentage, we can. So just enter in the fraction or as a division, times it by 100, and we find that that's approximately equal to 53.42% to 2 decimal places. Okay, so now the last question is the one that's of probably more interest, and I might just move the board up a little bit so you can see this, because I really need to keep the table there. Okay. So calculate the probability of selecting a household that has solar panels installed given that they have a water tank. Okay, so a little bit different this one. So probability of solar panels, so solar panels given they have a tank. So I'm just going to put given tank. Okay, so really I just need to fill in this fraction. So given that they have a water tank, in other words, we know, if we've selected this household, we know they have a water tank. That's what it means. That's what given means. It's given. We are told they have a water tank installed. What is the probability that they also have solar panels installed? So the first question is, well, how many households have a water tank? Okay, go back to the table. And again, we added up that row, 164. Of those 164, how many had solar panels? So again, we're only using the top row. Okay, 120. Okay, so that's the fraction, or that's the probability of selecting a household that has a solar panel given, or we're told that they also have a water tank installed. As a percentage, okay, that's 120 divided by 164 multiplied by 100, and that's around 73.17%. So this is an example of a two-way table in probability that's with a different usage compared to the other ways we've seen two-way tables.